Hi, I'm Ralph Thomas, CEO of the New Jersey Society of CPAs, and I've been a CPA since 1982. And today, I'm one of thousands of Black professionals who have found success in work and life thanks to this coveted credential. But that success, in large part, is thanks to those who have paved the way for Black accountants to ever become CPAs. Today, I'm joined by one of those early trailblazers, Bert Mitchell, number 100, the 100th Black CPA. As you know, 2021 marks the 100th anniversary of John W. Cromwell's landmark achievement of becoming the very first Black CPA. Some years later, I earned my CPA license in the state of New Jersey, and what thoughts come to mind when I reflect on those accomplishments now? Today, we have Bert Mitchell joining us, and Bert Mitchell was the number 100 Black CPA. Bert, let's talk a little bit about your early life and take us to that time when you were growing up as a young Black person in, I guess, New York or Long Island. What was the typical outlook for you then?
First, I was just trying to get a job.
Yeah, I guess that was important back then, right?
But actually, the strange thing for me was I really started out being a CPA by accident. And yeah, because I went to high school in Jamaica, and I came up here. My parents moved, and so I go to graduate school, and my idea was to be in a whole different field. I I I didn't have a sense of accounting as my expectation. So it was an accidental thing for me. And as I try to get myself organized, boy from the bush, you know, come to the big city, and I don't know the routine. So the to make a long story short, uh, I went to the wrong school. I went to City College. I went to City College School of Business, and instead of City College of Engineering, and right, so I went downtown, uh, and good old me, I don't know the difference at that point. So I just took the courses that they offered, and I was doing pretty good counting numbers. So
Well, your story, Bert, sounds a little bit like mine. I went to Lehigh University, and my plan was to be an electrical engineer. And after 10 days, I found out that electrical engineering wasn't for me, so I transferred to the business school. But Bert, share with us. You know, you said you came up here from Jamaica. Share with us some of what were your experiences first when you came up here, came to New York.
big city was exciting, and I, I I wasn't even you know had any understanding of what goes and what doesn't. So I just start doing it the best I can. Try to go to school and find out what the different opportunities were, and it's I didn't have any guidance, so I just took it a step at a time.
How were you able to navigate through things, being from Jamaica, being new to New York? You know, how did you fit in?
Well, when I left Jamaica, I had 1 year left in my high school, Kingston Technical High School, and so most of the people that went to that school that had this sort of direction that what I was taking are going to be engineers. We were the engineering school, and so when I came to New York, I had to go to high school, and when I went to the high school, there they didn't have any of the technical stuff, just other material. So I I tried to get jobs to get myself familiar with the country, and man, they just kicked me around. I mean, it's like I I try to get a job in a little restaurant. They will make me a dishwasher, and you know that was all right. But they, I I wasn't making any headway with that, so they they mistreated me, and I figured, well, I better find a different way. And so I tried something else, and I got a job in like another non-professional career thing. And so I keep feeling around, feeling around. So all of a sudden, somebody told me, okay, you're trying to go to City College uptown, and by the time you get up there, the school gonna be shut down. But there's a City College downtown. Why don't you go there? That's because that's easy for you. So I did. Well, I didn't realize that was the School of Business and not the School of Engineering. And so I just went with what they had, and that's the story from there. So that's that's how I became an accountant in the first place. And from that point on, you know, I was worked towards my my background. I was good with numbers, good with that and whatever. And accounting became my area of interest.
So I imagine you encountered some barriers or roadblocks in your journey to becoming a CPA. Can you share with us some of those barriers and roadblocks that you were faced with?
It's like you know, as you know, there were no blacks, you know, that were focusing in those directions. And with Maine, it, you couldn't get any professional jobs within the accounting field. You get little detailed stuff to do and this and that, and it's totally non-directive. So that I didn't understand what the process was, but I just kept digging in and digging in. And the good thing for me was I was very good with the numbers. So I got a startup with accountants, like a guy who has a practice with himself or two people, and they take me on and put me on board with them. And pretty soon I start understanding the the operations. And I was an excellent math student, and so that kind of stuff. I mean, I could do much better than most of the people I was working with, and that brought me into the channel of working towards CPA profession.
You mentioned that you grew up in Jamaica and then you decided to leave Jamaica, but what was it like living in Jamaica? Let's talk about that first, and then I'll ask another question about your transition to the U.S. So give us a little bit. What was it like living in Jamaica and in Manchester? Right? Was it Manchester?
Yeah, I grew up in Manchester. Um, yeah, I mean, you go to school, you move the cows, you move the donkeys, and 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 that's what you do. Uh, but I grew up in Jamaica, and then I went to school in Kingston Technical High School, and which is like one of the premier school for like people interested in engineering or stuff like that. So the and these were, you know, when 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 we were going to school in the bush part of Jamaica, I mean, we didn't even wear shoes. So yeah, so we have no idea about America. We knew people who went to America, who work in the farm, and then they send them back after the farm season or whatever. But it, it's it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different place.
So now, Bert, your family uproots and moves to New York. What
Right.
what 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 was that like? I mean, obviously it had to be different than living in Jamaica, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
how did you acclimate? I mean, did you find yourself once you all relocated there? Did you find it difficult to uh, navigate the environment in New York?
Not really, not really. And some people, some things you figure out, and other things you get to do because you don't know what you're doing. It's
You just do them, huh?
right, right. So first of all, we had some lucky things. My grandfather worked on the Panama Canal as a laborer. My mother was born there in Panama. So uh, after they did their work there, my grandfather and brought his kids back to Jamaica with him, and so that was an edge for us because my mother had the right to migrate from Jamaica to the U.S. and that's how we came to. I'm one of seven kids, and we took blocks of time. Come to Jamaica, come to the U.S. first. My sister and I came, then another batch, 2, 3 brothers came, and then the final 2 came, and that's how we came, and the 7 of us came to live in New York.
Okay. So
So,
now you're in New York.
right.
Um, how did did you feel that you were fitting into New York? Did you have any barriers or roadblocks when you first got to New York, or was it just like being home in Jamaica?
Well, you you just do what you have to do from one day to the next, and you know I I try to improve myself. I went to look for a job one day, and it was like a restaurant. Then I'm going in there to ask for a job. And then they asked me if I could know how to wash plates or do this or that. I mean, it's actually a nonsensical situation. So you're facing these brutal and disregards, for the mankind. And you you were saying, well, what am I doing here? Yeah, if I'm in Jamaica doing nothing, I'm still a big shot. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta be a dishwasher. That's the only job I could get. Yeah. So, you know, you don't know. But I could say that's the best thing that ever happened to me and my family. That we came to the United States, and we work our way through the system, and we have done well for those of us who came.
So now, when you went to school and you went to City University, was it?
Yeah.
And you went to City University in Lower Manhattan. Any challenges there in terms of you know classmates, professors, or anything? Um, you know that caused you any consternation, so to speak?
It was so positive for me.
Oh,
They were helpful. I mean, we had two deans, um, male and female dean. And they helped me, get a book, get this, get that, and really uh, positive. And I was a good student, so they I guess they backed me up, and everything was a go for me. I mean, and I was active. I mean, it's like I I started doing accounting work. I became president of the CPA Society at Baruch. Yeah, it's like I'm on the board of Baruch. I mean, it's like I, I don't know. You just do what you think the system can allow you to do, what your background tells you to do. I mean, we don't have books. Uh, one of the deans helped me get some books that I can't afford books, so she got books for me to help. It's a lot of things you can do for yourself.
yeah. So when you came from Jamaica, you had started school in Jamaica and you came here, and you did you look for work at all first, or did you look to go to school, or was going to school because you couldn't find work that you thought made sense for you?
Well, when I left Jamaica, I I had one more year to do in high school, and so I came to New York, and I figured I should do my 1 year in high school. But when I went to the high school, uh, I start realize that the material that was in the problems, I already been through those. So so I said I don't need to do those over again. So I went to try to get a job, and and, and that's where I started. I mean, and then tried to get a job. I went to college instead of high school.
Okay. And when you went to college, did you encounter any um, pitfalls or barriers with faculty or other students? No, good, good.
They were tremendously helpful. I mean, it's like there were two assistant deans um, that help college students, male and female one, uh, Miss Marks and Dr. Dean, and both of them were helpful to me, and you know, it was a positive, very positive experience for me. So yeah, they helped me get books that I couldn't afford to buy.
So now, after you finished college, you went to see if you could get work, and and you mentioned that you went to the large firms, and they didn't have an opportunity or weren't willing to hire you. Were you
Right.
able to get interviews, or were you just turned down because um, you were black?
There was one black guy working for an accounting firm in New York when I came to New York, and and maybe they didn't even know he was black because he was a white looking guy.
So how did that make you feel? You knew that you said, hey, you were great with numbers. You knew you could do the work. Did you feel demoralized as a result of not being able to get employment with the larger firm?
Yeah, well, I started doing people's tax return in no time, and and I could fiddle for myself there and still go to school, and yeah, it, it's it, I guess it was the help that I got from these deans that I'm talking about that uh, they help comfort me that yes, you could be successful. Yes, and I was, for whatever it's worth, I think a very good student, with my background, so I could navigate certain things that maybe other people who have to fight with it a little more than I did. So yeah, and so before you know it, I became president of New York of this CPA society in Baruch in no time. Yeah, it's like the school uh, they put me in all kinds of great positions. So I it was incredible the support that I got, and you know it still exists today in my relationship with the school.
So share with us your experience in terms of taking the CPA exam. Did you
Right.
have any challenges, any problems navigating through the exam process?
No, I only had one sitting for the exam. I took the exam. I passed the exam. I was good with numbers. I understood the concepts. So I never had any to take on any part of the exam.
Well, see, I'm jealous because I had to take it a number of times.
But you got more money's worth than I did.
Oh yeah, I did pay a lot. But now share with us your entree, if you will, into public accounting. What
Yeah.
ha- how take us through that process?
First of all, before you know it, I was starting to do people's tax returns, and so it's a whole new reality for me. So I got in the barbershop. I did barbershop accountant. That's a client. I did his tax return. I did this one and then the other one, and so I start seeing that I could do better with this than many other things. So it's put me in a different direction than I had started with. And numbers was a very simple game for me because that's what I did. Uh, I was at Kingston Tech, which is one of the technical high school, and I was I was very competitive. I was never anything more than less than the third. The third in my class was the worst scoring I had, and so the things that they people would think that was so difficult to do here, it wasn't that difficult for me. I mean, because I accept the challenge, and so before you know it, I started my own little business with doing other people's tax returns and so forth and so on, and make a living out of it.
So now you passed the CPA exam. How did you meet the experience requirement? Because that, in talking with some of the other folks that in the first 100 Black CPAs, that was a challenge for them. Did you have a challenge in meeting, getting your experience requirement once you passed the CPA exam?
No, I didn't. You know, first of all, you had to have certain amount of experience before you could, as you know, better than anybody else, in uh, taking your challenge to the exam. But the I started uh, working with one man practitioners, two-person practitioners, and before you know it, I start building a relationships and direction. And of course, you couldn't take CPA exam, as you know better than anybody, until you reach certain preparation status. So I just bounced around with that until I was able to qualify for the exam. And I never all my sitting for the exam was one sitting. I never failed any part of the exam. One, two, three, four. I finished the whole exam. You know, so it's seemed like it was pretty easy. Like math was my thing. It does. So I didn't know the rest of the profession like I knew the math. So
Well, I always tell people I'm so glad that my certificate doesn't have the number of times that I had to set before I passed the exam. so, so share. You mentioned that you started out doing tax returns. Did you do tax returns for both black and white clients?
in my early part of doing the tax return was somebody on the streets, and then other later on I was doing people who needed tax work done, real tax. Uh, and it, the whole thing, I guess, came out of my my Jamaica experience in high school. There, I had one more year to finish high school in Jamaica to be able to go out and something else. So by the time I got here, I have a little bit of my feet on the ground, and you know, it's I didn't find it problematic or that particularly challenging in terms of not knowing what to do. Once somebody would give me what the methodology was, I did pretty good. So I never failed any part of the exam. I did them, I took them, and I got my license.
What was your next step? What was your next journey? I know you said you did tax returns, but then did you go work for a firm?
Yeah, I work for different firms, but when, when I went to college at night, so I was working for some small firms during the day, and everything moving along. I could pay my rent, whatever. So it's you just go through the process that it gave you opportunity to track out on. But my issue was, I didn't know the landscape, so I had to. So I got my ear under my arm. I had enough little stuff that I was doing for myself, so I could pay for those things. But I started looking for jobs now once I finished my education, and so I thought I could go to the big firms. But then I went there and they turned me away. It's like they weren't ready for me. So, but I got jobs with smaller firm, one man firm that would let me do his lesser work and so forth and on. And I just keep moving forward in putting myself through the processes. So I got jobs in a few uh, larger recognized firms, but the real big firms they just turned me away. All the big eight firms, which I went to. So I got my first real job with J.K. Lasser. If you remember them, right? Yeah, right, yeah. And I did about 3 years with J.K. Lasser, and they were very nice to me, and you know, and we were only two black guys were at the firm, and had a guy named Jim Tatum. Uh, Jim was older than me, and he grew up in the U.S. So we did that, and so I got very nice treatment from them, and you know I was pleased to be able to start moving in the direction of expectation that I could become a CPA and you know figure out whatever the system was. So that's what my was my platform.
So once you worked for J.K. Lassiter, how long was it before then you got, I guess, the notion that maybe I ought to open my own firm?
Well, I was about 3 years with them, and you know, then of course there was a black firm in New York, Lucas and Tucker was yeah. So um, I got involved with a couple other black guys. Jim Tatum was one of them, but you might not know Jim. Parnell Drayton, so forth. And General Lucas was the founder of the firm. It's called Lucas and Tucker, and the first black firm in the country. And well, certainly in the New York side of the country. And so we decided we were going to make a firm of black CPAs, and we we got some good forward step with that. And so Jim Tatum and I were at Lucas and Tucker, and we just, I mean, at the other firm I just mentioned to you, and we came to Lucas and Tucker guys. The oldest guy at Lucas and Tucker, General Lucas, was a general, general in the army. He was a CPA, and and he started bringing few black guys along, very much along his way. And he wasn't practicing accounting; he was working for the government. And so we came on board, and we decided that we're going to make Lucas and Tucker one of the big time firm. And so Jim Tatum and I came on board, and we brought like two other major accounting background guys on, and we started the CPA firm. I mean, to fill out the CPA firm like that. And so that was the the other big firm practice in New York. And there were some changes in the city government, and we had a chance to get some business. And we got business from them, and we started uh, moving ourselves up. And then we had practice in Washington, D.C., and we hook up with another firm down there, and so forth and so on. And that's how we were building the practice. And so we did good for about maybe 6 years with that, and then the mix just fell apart, and Lucas and Tucker firm just start going down. I left, Jim left, and we started different practices. And I developed a firm that was became the most successful firm in the country.
And Bert, what year was that? What year did you start Mitchell Titus?
It was right in those big political periods, you know. It's like, and we were clinging towards some of the politicians and these guys who. Uh, so that's that's when we were trying to put things together, and but it fell apart. It fell apart, and Jim Tatum and I, just had a firm by ourselves now, and pretty soon um, that changed also, and then I started my own firm, and that would be what it is today. We're the largest Black CPA firm in the country.
Congratulations on that. I remember, and maybe you remember, you were a Citibank client at one point in time.
Right,
And
right.
I came down because I was doing due diligence work at Citibank, and I actually did a review of your firm.
You must have put in a good report.
Well, you told me I had to. And you told me before I left your office you wanted to meet with me so that we could review a report. No, but that I really cherish that moment when I had the opportunity to come down and do work on your firm and as a client, and it was great to see how the firm had grown and everything and whatnot. Oh, yeah. So hats off to you, Bert. You did a great job in bringing the firm along and whatnot. So let's delve a little bit in terms of now that you're retired and having an opportunity to play a lot of golf. What are your thoughts about the future of Black CPAs going forward? What would you like to see happen?
I think what will happen most is that more Black CPAs will become significant players within the profession, and so the amalgamation of blacks and white folks working together, I think we're going to see we should see more of that as opposed to simply minority firms was working as minority firms.
You think there'll be more collaboration between Black firms and white firms?
Yeah, I think we should be able to see Black people in some of the leadership positions in in the majority firms, and so it's it's it, it might not just be blacks here and blacks there. It's going to be Black people being significant players within major firms.
Yeah, I think we've seen some of that today with the, in the Big Four, where we're seeing a number of minority in leading managing partners in offices, well, for a lot of the major firms. Right. I guess it the challenge. What do you see? Let's go to challenges? You talked about you think you'll see more collaboration, but what do you think is going to be one of the big challenges for minority firms going forward?
It has to be a direction that the business environment itself have more minority in it, more minorities in it. Uh, and so black people are going to do business with one another, like white people do business with one another, and so it become like a little more level playing field as we go along, and we have more black politicians now than like in my time. Yeah, yeah. So and that's going to be part of the balance as well. So that's my sense of what might happen, and it's we're seeing some of it, and we're seeing some going the other direction too. So it's
Yeah.
like you have to have a group of players who are committed to help change the direction. And like the things that you do. I mean, it's like how many leaders we had in the accounting profession managing what you do now. It's like it's a different time.
Yeah. Well, there's only one. I'm hoping that there will be others uh, having an opportunity to head up a state society. But right now, I'm
Right.
still the only one who only person of color to head up and be the CEO of a state society.
We hope we should have got some changes in that. And yeah,
Well,
I congratulate you for your achievement in that, because it's not as easy as people think it is. And
yeah.
so keep it going, brother.
Well, I'm trying. I'm actually trying to mentor a couple of individuals who I think could be good CEOs at State
Right.
Society. So that's my
Yeah.
goal to try to get that done before I call it a day and be on the side that you are, retired and playing a lot of golf. But yeah, I think that's that, and that leads me to another question in terms of the future for folks of color and ethnicity who are majoring in accounting or in business. What do you see as the opportunities that may present themselves for minorities and underrepresented minority groups going forward, and in particular, in with a focus on the accounting component.
Yeah, it's like I think there should be positive results. Um, the it sort of rubs two ways, because uh, the profession as a whole will open up more going forward than it did in the past, and you will see, just like you mentioned, you will see some senior people in major accounting firms who are heavyweights in those practices too, and so it's it's how we keep our balance. You do we have to give up all our own ownership in order to be in practice, or can we have black owned firms as well as white owned firms, and they have black people who are in major firms, and so you get the mix uh, all around. So that's the long term thought process, I would think, as to how the activity in the profession might go going forward.
Let's move to the mentoring process. What if you were to encounter or engage a young person of color and ethnicity who had an interest in accounting, what would you tell him or her that is most important to be successful in today's accounting environment?
First, they need the skills.
Obviously, yes. Well, what else beyond skills? What else would they need to have in their back pocket, so to speak, that would help them be successful going forward?
Their own sensibility in terms of uh, what's what their realities are in terms of performance. It's like I became CPA, the president of New York CPA Society, as you know, one of the biggest societies in the nation. And it's like I became the president because I thought I could be. So you need people start understanding their own willpower to to break through some of these things, just like you do. Like, it's like the when we were coming along, it's like you and me, we could only pass by those places. We could
The door wasn't open for us too much.
right, right. So it's like part of how we feel about ourselves as well, that we can do it.
Accounting enrollments has started to decline a little bit in the profession. And I haven't been able to, I have privy to separating, majority accounting majors from minority students, but I have a sense that it's probably also declining amongst underrepresented minorities.
Right.
What do you think needs to be done to change that dynamic, to get more folks of color and ethnicity interested in the profession? It certainly has changed over the years from being, quote, a numbers and tax return type profession to, I
Right.
think, being a profession that is viewed in many aspects as financial advisors to their clients. What do you think folks of color need to do to arm themselves to be able to have significant roles in the future of accounting going forward?
I think you need black accountants who can have relationships and connection with um, black people in significant positions in the broad the broader entities, so that you know uh, if a guy is the head of a major corporation, uh, and he says, well, you know, we 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 need to have, and if he's black, right, he needs to be able to say, we need more representation here in terms of coverage, and so it's like people who are leading, have to take a look about around themselves and say, what is my responsibility? What is my carriage that I need to do to have more of our people have a chance at this? And so there are places where there's thought process like that going on. And that's what we have to have. Otherwise, we're going to be having people who say, "Well, all right, yeah, give them a bookkeeping job in here or stuff like that." But that's not what we need.
Let's go to your inspirations and hopes for folks of color in the accounting profession. The number of black accountants and CPAs has grown over time. But even today, we see the exclusion and inequity in the profession and in society. What are some of your hopes and concerns for the Black community when you see what is still happening today?
For me, I think not enough people are putting enough value on themselves.
And what do you mean by not putting enough value? Are they you know feeling that they aren't qualified or that they this is not for them?
Yeah, well, they're not challenging the system. They're
Okay.
not challenging the system, and it's like you got to do some of that to make that reality come about. Because if you don't feel like you 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 worth it, then other people other people ain't not going to think that for you. So 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 we need to have uh, uh, it's not just about accounting. It's about black people, and black people need to have a sense. We have to have a sense of ourselves in terms of what should we expect within the environment that as our role. Can we participate in this, that, or the next thing? Uh, it's like we 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 are at a level now where we should understand that we can do it. We can do it. I mean, we're doing in baseball, we're doing this, we're doing that. We can do it.
So, Bert, that being said, what what advice would you give Black accounting students and professionals trying to progress and make change in the profession and in our communities?
The thing is that we can't tell ourselves about what we can't do. We we got to we got to be more focused on what we hope to achieve, and we have to understand what the the the, the needs are of corporate establishment where we could fit ourselves in significant positions. And it, it's not going to be done for us. We got to do some of it for ourselves. And I, I look at myself, I'm a boy from little Jamaica. I come here and I could, hold so I could get into the system too. And I ain't that smarter than the other guys. I mean, but we're probably not taking enough credit for ourselves.
So now it's been 100 years since the first Black CPA. What is your vision for Black CPAs over the next 100 years? What would you like to see happen? Um, if you could just share your thoughts on that.
I know the accounting profession is significant, and it'll become more and more significant as time goes on. And common sense says you need to work at becoming a player in that environment, you know. And it's, I mean, just judging from my own self, it's like if you think you could do it, chances are it could get done. Yeah, and we need to encourage our young black people to go for the goal.
I think that that's something that needs to be done. I really think that folks don't feel that they can climb the ladder, so to speak.
Right,
And I think there are those opportunities. But I guess one of the things that we need to think about is how do we light the fire under people to want to go up the ladder?
right. Well, and I'm sure you're doing some firing some people right now.
I've been trying, but it's been tough. It really
I
has.
understand. Oh yeah, I know, man. It's tough because people think it should just happen, and it don't just happen.
And I think there's still a perception that folks don't think that they will be able to climb or manage the process or climb the ladder. So some of us folks that have been in this should need to get help become the counselors, advisors, or whatever, the coaches for these young people to tell them it is doable. It really is doable.
Right. Oh yeah, it could be done. So I'm glad to see you doing the work that you're doing, not just at your firm, but all around now to help move this thing forward. And we those of us who've been back there a long time ago knew what it used to be, and it's changed positively in a lot of direction by things like that you do carry on your back. It's like so, you know, we 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 want to make sure that our environment understand that we can do things for ourselves. We could change the direction and so forth and so on. And so I'm proud to see where you are, man. And I know, sometimes you must have a problem from time to time to say, damn, I don't know, I could make a lot more money doing this or that. But but you are helping a lot of people for us, and we're thankful for that.
Well, thank you, Bert. So, final thoughts from you, Bert, about where you see the profession going, especially for folks of color, or other thoughts that you may have that about opportunities that we may be missing or whatever as we come to a close here.
Yeah.
So this is your time to share your vision of where what you think the future holds for folks of color that are CPAs.
Well, I don't know. I did what I could within my own stream, and brought a lot of people along. And but it's a struggle, quite frankly, because a lot of people don't take it seriously enough in terms of the dimensions that we could yield, and it's it's sometimes mind-boggling to see how people waste opportunities and don't understand that we could move the ladder up for our people and ourselves. So it's it's difficult. It's difficult, and and so uh, you do it in your capacity, and we have a number of people who understand the issues that we have to get involved in to make things work, and it's a hard pull, and it's like but we can't lose faith and hope.
No, that's true. That is very true.
But we know that some progress, good progress have been made actually, and but we have to put in the minds of younger people, things that they can do, and to overcome the negative postures that we have had to go through over time, and get on the side of positive directions. But they have you to help them.
Well, I'm trying. I'm trying.
I know, man.
Well, Bert, it has certainly been my pleasure to have this conversation with you. You've been one of my role models, ever since I got a chance. I'm serious, ever since I had an opportunity to meet with you. And you certainly are to be commended in the work that you've done establishing Mitchell Titus and to the point that it's grown to be such a great firm, and as a result of your efforts and the folks that you brought along and I say curated to make them be successful in today's environment. So I really want to thank you. I mean, it's been these interviews that I've done have been quite humbling to be able to have conversations with the trailblazers, the individuals who have made it possible for me to be in a position like I'm in today. And I want to thank you and all those trailblazers for the barriers that you had to encounter, the challenge that you faced, getting to your position and building your firm and establishing things. You all are really to be commended, and it's been an honor and a privilege for me to have you know have interviewed the members of the first 100 Black CPAs. I really tell you, I can't tell you how inspired I am, but as a result of doing these interviews and thinking about what else could I do as I go forward to help our folks of color to um, move up the ladder and get the position to do what they can do to enhance their opportunities for folks of color. So thank you
Obviously, you're
so
doing
very
it,
much.
man. You're doing it.
Well, thank you, but I'm doing it because of folks like you, because you help blaze that pathway and provide that opportunity for individuals like myself. So thank you so very much. Any final comments that you want to offer before we close out?
I don't know of anything that's much more sensible things I could say, but except that I appreciate being part of this.
We certainly appreciate you being part of it because, like I said, I don't think I would be in a role like I am today without individuals like yourself having blazed the path. So, Bert Mitchell, thank you for all you have done and what you will continue to do in terms of inspiring folks of color to become CPAs and to start their own firms. So, thank you so very much.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.